How's it, gang? We're back. Today we're going to talk about sides, and specifically pre-tapering the sides, because we have tapered sides and we have a radius back. So same format of video. We're going to talk story in the beginning. We're going to have a little demonstration, not a whole lot. Fast forward to that if you want. We're not going to talk through the demonstration, and then we'll finalize some commentary at the end. If you have any questions, by all means, ask them down below. And if you want to subscribe, this is only the second video in the series of building, but we're going to continue on with that. I know it took a little while between the first one and this one, but we'll get back into it. I had a little distraction for the last couple of weeks. But let's talk about sides. All right. Here we have the piece of wood that we cut our top and backs off of, I believe, in the first video. And all we did was take our sides from here. Once you get your dimensions for the sides, and that can vary based on what your template is. But before we go there, I'm going to talk about two books right here. So I have the Honolulu book. Mike Chalk wrote this one, my friend. And if you go in, he'll actually have his sides tapered. Well, actually, I'll just say this. It's thin on the heel and the tail block, and it's wider in the middle. So it's tapered from the middle is high and then down this way. So that his back is gonna go like this. Okay, it's gonna go, well, let's draw it this way. Okay. I also have Kumpiano's book. This is my second book. The first one, I don't know where it went, but this is getting kind of wasted as well. If you go into this book and you read how they taper the back, they actually taper it once the sides are bent. It's on the instrument. They start hand planing it. They pre-taper it with a hand plane after it's bent, and then they'll sand it down with a board right across the back. We're gonna do something a little bit different. I'm gonna show you how I made this template. We're not gonna actually make the template today, but it's super simple. I could describe it, but since I have an instrument here, I'll just actually sort of show what we're doing. So what I did was, and you've got to build an instrument to do this. This is not the actual instrument I did it with. Do an instrument that doesn't have the neck attached, obviously. Just take a piece of paper or two pieces, tape them together, put it down flat, and two people. It's nice if you do it with two people. Just do this, grab a pencil or a pen or Sharpie, and just mark off over here. Once you get this template, or once you get that pattern drawn, just trace it on whatever you're gonna cut your actual template out of. In this case, this is 1/8 of an inch bending plywood. Now, grab this. Most guys that do their sides, that I've learned from, will cut their sides oversized. They'll make it longer than it needs to be, and they'll make it wider than it needs to be. Just so they can fine tune and bring it in. After they bend, they can do final adjustments once the assembly starts. For me, I've gotten it to 18 1/8 of an inch. So 18 1/8 of an inch exactly from heel to tail, it's gonna fit inside this form, both sides, once it's bent. And it's gonna fit in here nicely. Obviously my bindings will be the same size too, hint. But in this template, you can see where we go from 3 inches on the back side to 2.5 inches on the heel block side. And you can kind of tell from there, it tapers. It starts high, it goes low, it comes higher in the middle. This is the waist right here. What happens is the waist gets pushed in on the instrument, and on the radius of the back, obviously it gets higher the closer to the center it goes, you know, once you get to this part of the instrument right in here. And then it tapers down to 2.5 inches. Some guys will make it exactly the same right across. I think there's one factory that does it the same, super easy. If you're, I'll just say 2.5 inches right across the board. That's just straight cuts all the way. All right, I got some different measurements on here for me. I built tipples, so I actually increased the body size 3.5 inch down to 3 inches. And then my good old friend, music guy Mike, he asked me to make a thin line for him, so I call it the MGM thin line. So oddly enough, for those of you that make thin line instruments, you can go 2.5 inches to 2 inches. Gets kind of tight, especially when you're putting a pickup in, which the ones that I made have had pickups. But the thin lines are pretty cool. God bless him. Rest in peace, my friend. Miss you. Music guy Mike. I started calling him MGM a number of years ago, and that kind of stuck. But anyway, back to sides. What we're gonna do is, before we get to this, I'm going to let you know that we already jointed this edge already. And the important cut for me here is this 90-degree right here, because this is going to be the tail block. So what happens when you bend it and you glue it together, you want this joint for both sides to match up with no gaps. Now, the problem with doing this and getting this joint, and by the way, you can cut this on a table saw, whatever you want. We've already cut it on a table saw, actually on a bandsaw, but we're gonna joint this on my, my shooting board with a low angle block plane. Now, point to note, when you cut this, you got to know where the grain is going on this. So this is going to be the flat edge against the shooting board, and we're going to we're going to plane this down in this direction. If you look at the grain, it's actually popping up here. So what potentially might happen as we plane this way, we're going to have some chip out on this end right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to plane a little bit off on this side, basic woodworking technique, so there's no chip out. This side doesn't matter because it's going to be under the neck anyway, so you're not going to see this joint, but you're going to see this joint, maybe. So when you work with this joint right here, fortunately, this is our jointed edge. This is going to be the top. The grain is running out this way. I'll show you which way it's going to turn it over. There's a jointed edge. It's going to be the top. We want the 90-degree right here. We're going to plane it in this direction, right? Yep, that's the direction we're going to plane it in. So because it's facing up this way, we might have to take a little bit off because we might have some chip out over there. In fact, both of them, both directions, because they're going up. Now, if it was the opposite, I would argue, let's say we were making this joint 90 degrees right here. I would argue that because this one's going down, and if we joint this way, you don't have to do anything. Now, the problem with doing that here and taking a little bit off of this edge, if you're not binding, or if you're not going to put an end graft, you're going to see this 90-degree right here. So you might have to take this a little slow or bring it in and then maybe sand the final, but you got to check your 90-degree. So with that, let's go ahead and plane this down to this pencil mark right here, and that will be the demo. I'm going to shut up right now, and by the way, you can see that I taped it together, so we're going to do it all at one time. I'm going to shut up, do a quick demo, and then we're going to finish up with some comments. Okay, let's get to our shooting board right here. Okay, and let's get going. We're going to do this one. I already did a little bit of it. I'll be honest with you, I did it earlier. I just got a few more to go right there. All right, that looks good. And we're going to do this side. I actually took down a Okay guys, I made a mistake and I talked during the demonstration. So if you're seeing the end of this comment right now, we'll just go back over here. And we'll see if we can catch that. Okay. Sorry guys, I made a mistake. I started talking during the demonstration, but that's okay. It's a real quick demonstration anyway. Okay, so that's it for pre-tapering the sides. What we'll probably do in the next video is we're gonna thickness sand down the plates, the tops, and the top, the back, and the sides, and we'll run it through the drum sander, the thickness sander, and we'll go from there. Again, if you got any questions, pop them down below. You're probably going to ask questions on what's going to come up, and to be honest with you, I don't know. Like I said, the next one's probably going to be thickness sanding. No, we're not going to do it with a hand plane. We're definitely going to do it on thickness sanding. Catch you later.